Now, Mr. Okotsu, I am far from one to judge anybody. However, I do feel like we have to have a real, honest conversation on why you are so desperate to put your mouth all over these cursed spirits. Thank you to our $5 patron, Sinus Lancelot, and a big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Now, before we hop into this breakdown of chapter 175 of Jujutsu Kaisen, please do me a favor and leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. I'd appreciate any support you're willing to give. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got a pencil here, and here we are to review chapter 175 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as Sunday Colony number 2. And, you know, Yuta, I love you, man, but you gotta, I know you're the strongest, but you gotta take things more seriously, my boy. You should not have taken this much damage, but let's hop right into it. So we open up right where we left off, and we see Kurourushi. He ain't playing, right? Like, he opened up with this big old swing of the life-leeching blade, or the festering life sword, if you will. And the thing is, right, like, Yuta, if you could rip this dude's arm off as quickly as you did, why did you not just bisect him? Because, like, literally, mid-swing, and I love it, once again, just because Gege has such a way of drawing, like, speed and action, that it always blows me away whenever I see it. So when Gege just draws Yuta, and, like, notably, Yuta has the most disinterested look on his face as he does it too, right? Like, he literally just ducks underneath the blade, slices the arm off, and then proceeds to impale the arm into a stone with his blade, and then just hard smack it away. Like, I know, it's always hilarious to me, right? Because I remember the fight between Yuta and Itadori, and Yuta's like, yeah, I'm not that swole, but I can make up for it. And it's always amazing to see him make up for it in such casual ways. But, like, Yuta, you couldn't just tear it apart. Like, if you were able to do that, I feel like this fight should have been over in a second. It's a cursed spirit too. It's not even a human. Like, I could understand if Yuta felt bad about, like, killing a human in a violent way, but considering this thing's like an active threat to the people you're protecting, why don't you just, I don't know, just tear it apart? Like, you ripped its arm off with no problem. Why don't you just, like, rip it straight down the middle and call it a day? Like, you hard smack it away, and that's cool. Like, I'm glad we get a fight. But then Kurourushi goes into the air by spreading its wings, and then Yuta has to chase it down. Like, I get it. Maybe it would have been the most optimal way to do it, because it's weird, but we go on. Like, Kurourushi tries to get away. But, of course, he's running from Yuta Okotsu, so that man is not getting away anytime soon. Because Yuta instantly, I love how he runs up, grabs his blade, and then proceeds to just bring it down on his head. But, like, that's the thing. If you could bring the blade down on his head, why'd you bother just ripping the arm off? But apparently, it was a bit too little too late. Because as Yuta tries to slam him into the ground and cut him in half, a whole bunch of cockroaches have essentially appeared and blocked off Yuta's blade into Kurourushi, which is extremely impressive. Like, I'm not exactly sure what the upper limits of Yuta's strength are, but the fact that these, like, curse reinforced cockroaches are strong enough to hold him back when he was obviously swinging for a kill strike, that's pretty darn impressive. Like, I don't know, Kurourushi definitely is a tier above that grasshopper curse that usually fought at the beginning of Shibuya, which is cool to see. Like, I wonder, with curses of this variety, right, where they're literally just like cockroach curse, grasshopper curse, curse? What's a curse? Curse. Like, for these just curses of regular objects, like, what is going to be the upper limit of that? Like, are we going to see a praying? Wait, have we seen a praying mantis curse? Why do I feel like we've seen the praying mantis curse? But, like, stuff like that. Like, where is the variety going to be? Does each one of the colonies have something like this? Because I'm assuming all these high-level curses are something that Kenjaku / Geto would have had in spades and just never used. So I wouldn't be shocked. And honestly, Kurourushi, with such a unique curse technique, the ability, well, I mean, I think the only issue is Kenjaku wouldn't want to eat people. That's not his vibe. So I guess that's the reason he didn't want to just exercise this and use his curse technique. But the thing is, it not only blocks Yuta with its gigantic swarm of cockroaches, it also just flares up and he flies into the air. And a whole bunch of cockroaches are surrounding him as the cockroaches bring him back his arm. And notably, I love how Yuta's like, I'm being watched. Like, and I wonder if he's, I guess he's basing this off their cursed energy, like what he's sensing from their cursed energy, because he's like, I'm being watched probably by 2 players with high scores. And, like, maybe you can likely sense their cursed energy level, but I highly doubt you can sense their their point power level. Like, is that a thing? The more points you have, the more power you admit. Like, I don't know. But I like how Yuta is taking into account the main thing of Jujutsu fights. Like, the more is unknown for you in a Jujutsu fight, the better. Like, the less and less your opponent knows about you, the more and more advantages you have. We literally just had a whole scenario with that with Megami versus Reggie, where we saw the lack of information on one side essentially carried that entire fight but against the other side. So you're just taking that into account. However, like, unlike a Megami, right? I feel like Yuta doesn't necessarily have to worry about this as much. And I know technically he was the second strongest behind Gojo in the conventional Jujutsu world. And obviously there are beings like Reggie, like a whole bunch of people that had variances from their past lives, or like could have been stronger than a lot of the modern era here. But Yuta, my boy, like, as long as you don't get jumped, like, maybe if you get jumped, it would be an issue if these people are that powerful. But as if you're running the ones with these people, you can run the duo, right? Because once Kurourushi is gone, at least in this sense, once Kurourushi is gone, you can call back Rika. I mean, maybe. If they jump you, you could call back Rika. Because maybe you want to keep Rika guarding the stadium. Okay, I get it a bit. He's worried because usually it'd be an easy GG with Rika plus him, but if Rika's stuck guarding the stadium building, then it's literally just him running the ones. And while I'm confident in his ability to run the ones, maybe he knows something I don't. And of course he's taking into account unknown means on some Bleach type. Like, he's worrying about the idea that who knows what these guys can do, since I have no idea about them, but this fight is essentially just a means for them to learn more about me. And thusly, I can't show everything. And notably, right, I'm wondering what happened. Like, did Kurourushi's durability just go up, or did his speed go up, or something like that? Like, Yuta, this thing's starving. Why are you trying to worry about using reverse curse technique on it? Like, if you can just exercise it by beating the life out of it or tearing it apart, why do you do that? Like, is this a thing I'm forgetting? Is there something I'm forgetting? I don't think you have to use reverse curse energy. You can exercise the spirit by beating it to death. Like, I don't think Sukuna killed Jogo by using reverse curse energy. I think he literally just beat the life out of him. Isn't that what Yuchi did to the grasshopper curse? Like, I don't think these people are using reverse curse technique, but I guess that's the cleanest way to do it, right? Like, instead of having a long drawn out battle where you just like trying to cut through cockroaches and slice it in half, the best goal would be to just use reverse curse technique to disrupt its energy and blow it up. So I guess that's the smoothest way to do it. But once again, this is just like, why don't you just flex? Like, if you could, especially since you have pretty much bottomless stamina with the amount of cursed energy you have, just beat it to death. Reveal nothing about yourself, and then when the next two people come to jump you, fight them, and then be forced to reveal what you have to reveal. But I guess Yuta's trying to be clean and efficient with it, so he wants to use reverse curse technique. Yet at the same time, he's held back from using reverse curse technique because the other two people watching him, and that could reveal that he can use it. Now, notably, I'm not sure why that's an issue. Maybe he's worried that if he shows that he has reverse curse technique, that they'll that makes sense though. He's worried about using reverse curse technique and showing them that he has that, because in that case they may just try to kill him in one big all-out attack. Like, instead of, you know how even in JJK, like, characters will build up to their big final moves. Like, they won't automatically just hit you with their maximum technique, or they won't instantly round start with their main expansion. So I guess he's worried that if he shows that he could live a long-term battle by using reverse curse technique, he would essentially leave himself liable to getting blasted, or like getting hit with the maximum technique, or getting hit with a domain expansion, just out of sheer fear, because you don't want to have a long drawn-out battle in JJK. Look what happened to Megami. Like, he won the fight with Reggie, but he's knocked out right now. I'm being looked over by an angel. Hopefully not getting eaten by an angel. I don't know why I keep saying the angel's going to eat him, but still, regardless, he essentially, that's the weird thing, right? Because since he doesn't want to use reverse curse technique, he wants to defeat Kurourushi without using reverse technique or Rika. And based on how you ripped its arm off, I feel like this shouldn't be that complicated. But I like how Kurourushi, similar to the grasshopper curse, actually has some manner of speech. Like, I thought it was just going to be a wild beast, but it's like, why hinder me? And Yuta, thinking, oh, well, it has some sort of thought, goes, why kill us? I'd like to ask you the same question. And Kurourushi seems to have a moment of confusion, and appears that this is an interesting answer. I wish, like, everyone knows Kurourushi dies at the end of this chapter, but like, the autonomy and sentience of cursed spirits is always the thing that's up in the air. Like, some curses are literally just wild beasts. Like, the finger bearer didn't seem to have any thoughts. It was just like a wild mass of cursed energy, but for destruction. But of course, you have your Jogos, your Hanamis, your Mahitos, essentially all your disaster curses, and they all seem to have some form of sentience. And even these lesser, like, I'm assuming as strong as Kurourushi is, he's likely not disaster tier. So even still, Kurourushi, this beast that represents cockroaches, has some form of sentience. So I wonder if we're ever going to go more down that route. I know that route was essentially entirely explored with the Itadori and Mahito story, right? The whole curse versus humans and how essentially they're both the same, and how it's, regardless, each one is going to always try to kill the other, as that's in their nature. Like, I get that, but I wonder, Itadori isn't the only one who has to walk down that path. Like, I'd be interested in seeing other people do it, not gonna lie. But the answer that Kurourushi gives is that I like the taste of iron. So he apparently, I guess, the iron and the blood of people, and notably, he says blind, 3 times. And I wonder if that, hold on, let me read the side text. Okay, so it seems like, I thought Kurourushi was saying that it was blind and that it would need iron to see better, but no, apparently it's just like saying blind is in like, this is common sense. I like blood. I like iron. I like the taste of iron. This is in my nature. And then it once again goes back to the whole Mahito thing, where it's like, I don't really need a reason. I just do it. Which is, it's not necessarily the worst motivation out there. I completely get that. Like, you're a creature of habit. You're a creature of instinct. So do the instinctual thing that a creature of habit and instinct would do. At the same time, I always like a little bit more depth. Like, some monster. Like, as glad as I am that we have curse users in the series, and they always usually like backpack the most interesting parts of like the philosophical, ideological issues of JJK. I think it'd be cool if some more cursed spirits carried it, especially since Mahito's dead. Like, all the disaster curses are dead, and all we have now is Kenjaku. So I hope the narrative continues in some way, shape, or form. But of course, Yuta is like, well, you called me blind, but I'm gonna show you what I can see. And then Kurourushi pulls out meditating worm, and I'm ew. Like, Akutame. Kids read this magazine, Akutame. You know what those things look like they're holding. Like, I'm not the only one who see, like, the detail. Those are some of the most detailed things in JJK. What the heck? Say why? But of course, they unleash, right? The swarm attacks Yuta as the meditating worms are out, and Yuta, who's standing on the water, is like, well, gotta do what I gotta do, and he stabs his blade into the water, and then by doing that, he releases, and once again, it's so cool. And I think Yuta is like pretty much the only character who can do it, since he has no real defined curse technique, like Yuji. And on top of that, he has enough curse energy to spare, akin to Gojo. Like, he is essentially able to just vibe. Like, he has unlimited energy, so he can just blast out massive plumes of energy. And it's cool to see. Like, no, it's almost like Yuta. This is gonna sound weird. Yuta's like a Dragon Ball character. Like, notably, Gojo can do the exact same thing Yuta does, but he does it in like very specific attacks with like red, purple, blue. Like, he has very specific things that he uses like blast for. But for Yuta, he literally just releases cursed energy. Like, he just makes a cursed energy vortex because he can. And I think that's really, really cool. Like, to have a character. And I think we're gonna get that with the other dude. What's his name? The guy who looks like a Joestar. Like, when we get him, I think he'll be able to do something similar. But the way Yuta does it, just incorporating like essentially ki blast into his attacks, I don't know. I like it because it's a very far departure from anything else within the series. Like, there are very few characters that won't hit you with like some specific elemental affinity, some special version of their power. There's very few characters that'll just be like, boom, it just hits you with something massive and destructive. And I love how Yuta can do that. And notably, while it did get rid of all the cockroaches, the meditating worms did not get damaged, or like they avoided it, and they come in with their sacks. But Yuta, and like, Yuta, that was on purpose, bro. Like, why did you do that? Like, he sliced the sacks. Like, he sliced the sacks right on open, and then they burst and obscure his vision. And of course, Kurourushi, seeing the opportunity, comes in with the life festering blade, and Yuta, still blind, or not blinded, ironically enough, Kurourushi did say blind, and then Yuta got mostly blinded. But when Yuta blocks the life festering blade, he does block the blade itself, but there are holes on the blade, obviously, and these holes fire out something, and they penetrate Yuta's skin, which is interesting. I mean, no, curse reinforcement raises your durability too, so the velocity of these things must be insane for you to actually have his skin pierced. But who knows? Maybe no, but he constantly, like, that's the thing that Yuji notes about him, which is one of the things I love about Yuta. He's just curse energy off rip, like maximum power all the time, everywhere, at all times. Like, that's the thing. He's never really holding back or optimizing curse energy use because he doesn't have to. So the fact that his body wasn't reinforced there, I think it was. It's just that they were so strong that he couldn't do it. And of course, these things that were planted into him, they apparently, like, they leach his blood. Like, you can see it because the veins on his face rip up. Like, his blood is getting ripped out of his face and brain area, and then these beasts rip out of him. But in that same instant, I love how Yuta, like, despite this, just shows how much more composed he is over his year of training back in Africa, because he has essentially re-solidified himself as, like, that threat that he was against Geto. Like, that Geto moment was like a spur of the moment bloodlust rage thing where he wasn't, like, fully composed. He was just getting used to his powers at that maximum capacity. But right here, right now, Yuta is essentially just on point at all times, because the moment he realized he made that mistake and the things rip out of him, he instantly stabs into them, slices them apart. But of course, by moving his blade away and focusing on slicing those things out of him, he essentially he leaves an opening for Kurourushi, and Kurourushi being that dude, it's weird to say Curse Spear is being that dude, but Kurourushi being that dude is like, I bet, how about 4 more? Let me get you pregnant, and slams Yuta directly in the stomach. And of course, Yuta being overwhelmed with a whole bunch of things growing inside of him, which is, do what you will with that, we see that he looks like he essentially died from that. Like, the Joestar looking dude and the Sky Girl are essentially like, well, that's all over. He's dead, and now he's about to be munched on. But of course, Yuta being that next level dude, and like, now, because I feel like the way he got rid of the ones that got implanted in his stomach was by funneling reverse curse technique into him. So actually, now that I think about it, did he try? I think, was Yuta doing like a 15-dimensional galaxy brain play there? Did he bait Kurourushi into close range to make Kurourushi confident in order to use reverse curse technique? Because, like, Yuta wouldn't need to use his sword to cut those things. He would just flare with reverse curse technique to get rid of them. So the fact that, I think that's actually a galaxy brain play. Like, I think Yuta actually baited Kurourushi in. I didn't think about it that way when I first read the chapter. But that's some next level play stuff that only someone who could easily regenerate could do. Like, that's a Bond level play, if you know what I'm saying. And I love how Yuta, the moment Kurourushi gets in close, is like, let me get a taste of this thick, juicy, scrumptious curse energy. Yeah, he just lunges back up. And, like, it's such a violent motion, right? Because his eyes go from rolled back into his head to, like, they shoot forward instantly. Yuta grabs his head, grabs Kuroushi's head, grips, and then slams his face and bites directly onto Kuroushi's mouth, and then Kurourushi just explodes. Like, he just detonates. And then you see Yuta just standing there in the carnage. And it's just legendary. Like, Yuta is a monster, and I love it. Like, legitimately, there's nothing, I think, at least in terms of combat, by endgame, Yuta, even if Megami, the only way I think one of our other main characters could compete is if Megami somehow masters Chimera Shadow Garden and, like, starts spamming multiple Mahorgas alongside Max Elephant. Like, Megami would definitely need, like, a big curse energy upgrade for me to be, like, putting him above Yuta, because Yuta just feels like almost on that Itadori, like, he gets the best of both worlds, right? Because he has access to the Shikigami kind of role that Megami does through Rika, and he has access to, like, the multiple curse technique kind of thing that Megami has access to via his ability to copy curse techniques. And on top of that, he has the raw physicality and just, like, monstrous movement of Yuji. He's literally the perfect fusion of both of them in my mind, and that's why he's their superior. But it's amazing to see him just tear apart Kurourushi and then simply wipe the blood from his mouth as 5 points have been added to him. And interestingly enough, I mean, this kind of worries me though, because I'm not sure if he was really struggling or just he was likely not taking Kurourushi too seriously. You can tell by how much damage he allowed himself to take and how he instantly heals it off with no problem. But like, you need to take care of Sukuna if he goes wild. You remember that, right? You like, I don't think Kurourushi is Sukuna level. So you better start taking things seriously. You better start showing up, Yuta. But of course, we see, and once again, like, I know my eyesight just isn't the best. That's why I have glasses. But this Joestar looking dude, he legit looks. He's looking at that battle from a pretty good distance away. But even he could somehow tell that Yuta used reverse curse. Well, now that I think about it, you could probably sense that. And yeah, because reverse curse technique is the opposite of curse energy. So even if you can't specifically sense reverse curse technique, you sense the absence of curse energy and be like, whoa, what the heck is that? And yeah, that's probably what triggered it. But of course, what Joestar explains is like, well, that's actually a pretty smart play. He used his palms and his mouth to inject reverse curse energy directly into Kurourushi's brain to blow it up. Yeah, even if I thought of that, I don't think I would have had the guts to do it. That's pretty darn nasty. And to be fair, it is. Which is why I will get on you this case for like slobbering up on all these cursed spirits. Like, you sliced the sacks open. Why'd you get all into his mouth? But of course, I love, like, there was no break for Yuta, right? Like, Yuta got the 5 points. He was wiping the blood off his mouth. But instantly, Sky Girl comes in and is like, so you can use reverse curse technique. Like, Yuta mid-turn, so, and like, you can tell he swung, right? Because there's a clanking noise. So he legit, he was so ready that the moment he heard it, he was like, I gotta kill you next then, and swings. But the chapter ends on that. And notably, it looks like the entire, a chunk of reality looks warped here. So I really wonder what the depths of being able to control the sky means for this girl. But yeah, the next boss battle is right along on its way. This war of attrition that Yuta has is not going to stop anytime soon. So hopefully, this sounds bad, but I think the best scenario for Yuta here is to get jumped. Like, hopefully the other dude hops in so he can be like, oh, perfect, Rika, kill one of them. Like, if he really needed to, he could literally just be like, yo, all right, Rika, they're both here. Slaughter them both. Or nah, he doesn't have to say slaughter them both. But, like, the access that he could have to a fair 2-on-2 would be better than running the ones consistently. Because while he does have a lot of energy, infinite amounts of energy, boundless cursed energy, if you will, I feel like it'd be better to take care of it quickly so he could optimize point gathering. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. This chapter was mostly combat focused. It didn't necessarily have the most plot to it, but I still really enjoyed it. Like, Akutame, let me see, who's in the modern run? This is weird, because I was talking about, like, art style. I'm pretty sure I was talking about art style a lot in my reviews last week. So, if I had to praise Akutame on one thing about his art, even if it is not the most detailed, even if it does not have enough high quality, insane in the membrane, like, oh my lord, I could never even begin to imagine what it took to get here level art, like your Dr. Stones, like your My Hero Academias, your stuff like that. What I will readily give this man Akutame is the full-on admittance that he is, outside of maybe Sakamoto days, because I love Sakamoto days action. Like, I'm not going to lie. The flowing action Sakamoto days is just chef's kiss. But that's the thing. Akutame is the best action mangaka right now. Like, in terms of one of the battle part of Battle Shonen, he carries that so well. From the fluidity in the art itself, Akutame carries you throughout a chapter. Like, whenever I can read an Akutame chapter in a minute, like, it can feel like I'm watching anime, which is just impressive to do. Like, the ability to draw that way so fluidly, so quickly, giving such clear understanding. It's like, I'm going to make a whole video talking about how Akutame's art emphasizes both the narrative he's telling and the action he does. But it's just amazing. I love this. I'm excited to see what level threat that this Sky Girl is, and I want to see what the Joestar is going to do. It would be hilarious if in the midst of, like, Yuta fighting in the sky with this woman, Joestar just goes, maximum cannon, and just fires off a whole beam of cursed energy at them and tries to vaporize them both. However, I'm excited for the chapter. It's not a perfect 10 out of 10, because once again, like I said, there's very little plot stuff here. It's just like the gauntlet's being run right now. So still a solid 8 out of 10 for how amazing the rest of it is. I'm excited for next chapter. Please tell me what you think about this chapter in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.